Marcus watched his boss take credit for his project. Again, third time this quarter. Everyone in the meeting nodded along, praising his boss's brilliant strategy. Marcus's jaw clenched, his fingernails dug into his palms under the table. He didn't know that in 72 hours his boss would be apologizing publicly, and everyone would know exactly who the real genius was. If you've ever watched someone steal your shine while you sat there silently dying inside, if you've ever been called aggressive for stating facts while they get called passionate for throwing tantrums, if you've ever fantasized about the perfect comeback 3 hours too late, then you're about to learn why Sun Tzu said all warfare is deception and why your enemies have been using it against you without you even knowing the game exists. 3 months ago, Marcus had one journal entry repeated over 200 times. Why do they always win? His therapist said, kill them with kindness. His friend said, be the bigger person. His mother said good things come to those who wait. They were all catastrophically wrong. The solution came from a 500-year-old Italian prince who understood something nobody tells you. Good people don't finish last because they're good. They finish last because they don't know the game being played against them. Marcus had tried everything the right way. Hard work? He stayed till midnight while his boss left at 4. Documentation? He had every email, every timestamp, every proof. Direct communication? His boss just smiled and said, we're a team, Marcus. But here's what nobody told Marcus and what nobody's telling you. You're not losing because you're weak. You're losing because you're playing chess while they're playing psychological warfare. Every time you take the high road, they dig the hole deeper. Every time you let it go, they test how much more they can take. Every time you avoid conflict, they mark you as prey. But here's the plot twist that changes absolutely everything. Your conscience isn't your weakness. It's your camouflage. Because when you know Machiavellian tactics but have a conscience using them, you become the most dangerous person in any room, the most lethal combination on earth. Let me tell you about Victor. He was a retired diplomat who'd spent 30 years in rooms with sociopaths in suits. When he met Marcus at a coffee shop, he saw something familiar: the exhaustion of fighting fair against people who don't. Victor leaned in and said something that changed Marcus's life forever. Your problem isn't that you can't play dirty, it's that you don't know how to play dirty while staying clean. Machiavelli wrote The Prince for rulers, but he wrote something else for people like us. Something they don't teach in business school. Something your therapist will never tell you. It's called the Mirror of Mephistopheles. Whatever they do to you, you reflect back, but you make it look completely accidental. Marcus was skeptical. How could that possibly work? Victor smiled like someone who'd won 1,000 invisible wars. Your boss takes credit? You start every sentence with building on my initial strategy. They interrupt you? You interrupt them back but say, sorry, I got excited about your point. They gaslight you. You say, I might be misremembering, but didn't you say the opposite yesterday? It's not aggression, it's architecture. The next morning, it happened again. Marcus presented his quarterly analysis. 15 slides of pure genius. His boss nodded along, then said the words that made Marcus's blood freeze. This is good, Marcus, but let me show everyone how we can elevate this thinking. He proceeded to repeat Marcus's exact points with slightly different words. The room was mesmerized. Brilliant insight, Tom. Marcus felt that familiar rage-shame cocktail, the one you feel right now thinking about your person. But then he remembered Victor's second technique, the documentation trap. Marcus smiled. Tom, that's exactly what I outlined in my email to you last Tuesday at 3:47 p.m. Should I forward it to everyone for context? The room went silent. Tom's face twitched. Well, of course it's collaborative. Absolutely, Marcus continued, pulling up his laptop. I have all our collaborative emails here. Should we review the evolution of the idea? This is called the receipts reversal. You're not attacking, you're clarifying. You're not aggressive, you're thorough. You're not vindictive, you're helpful. But what happened next is where most people fail. Because crushing an ego isn't about the moment of victory. It's about what you do in the silence that follows. Tom tried to recover. He stammered about teamwork and collaboration, but Marcus had already moved to phase 3, the Competence Cascade. In my experience working on similar projects, Marcus said calmly, The data always tells the story. When I pioneered this approach last year, the results spoke for themselves. As I mentioned in my published paper on this exact methodology, every sentence was a dagger wrapped in silk. Tom was bleeding out, and nobody could call Marcus aggressive. That night, Marcus sat alone, implementing Victor's full system, the 4 horsemen of ego destruction. First, the Schrodinger's compliment. Praise them for something that simultaneously exposes their weakness. Tom, I love how confidently you present ideas, even when they're not fully formed. Second, the Socratic stranglehold. Ask questions that force them to admit they don't know what they're talking about. Fascinating approach, Tom. Walk me through your methodology? They can't because it's your methodology. Third, the Competence Cascade, which he'd already deployed. And fourth, the one that would end everything, the Kafka Trap. Create situations where defending themselves makes them look worse. Tom, I notice you get defensive when team members contribute. Is everything okay? If they say no, they admit something's wrong. If they say yes, they can't explain their behavior. Checkmate in every direction. But Victor had warned him about something crucial. Power without conscience creates tyrants. Conscience without power creates victims. Power with conscience, that creates revolutionaries. Marcus realized something that would change everything forever. He didn't need to destroy his boss. He needed to make his boss destroy himself. Monday's meeting arrived. The entire C-suite was there. Tom started presenting his revolutionary framework. Marcus waited. Patience is a weapon most people don't know how to wield. Most people jump too soon. They attack too early. But Marcus had learned from Victor that the perfect moment announces itself. Slide 7. Tom made a critical error. He misquoted a statistic. Marcus raised his hand. Tom, quick clarification. You said 73%, but when I originally calculated this, it was 37%. Should we double check? Tom froze. Originally calculated? Yes, from my analysis last month. Here, I'll pull it up. Marcus shared his screen. The metadata showed created by Marcus Chen 6 weeks ago. The CEO leaned forward. Tom, is this your framework or Marcus's? This is called the inception implosion, making them doubt their own lies. Tom stammered about team effort, collaboration, synergy, all the corporate nothing words that mean someone got caught. Marcus, serene as a Buddha who'd found enlightenment through warfare, responded, absolutely. Tom's gift is recognizing good ideas. My role is creating them. The room shifted, everyone understood, but Marcus wasn't done. Tom, why don't you walk everyone through the technical methodology? You understand it so well. Tom couldn't, because he didn't understand his own theft. The CEO's expression changed. Marcus, please continue the presentation. In poker, this is called the slow roll. In chess, it's called zugzwang, when every move your opponent makes worsens their position. In life, it's called justice. But here's what nobody tells you about winning these games. After the meeting, Marcus felt empty. Victor had warned him. Crushing egos is like sugar. Sweet at first, hollow after. Let's be real about the costs. Tom became a subtle enemy, but he already was. Some colleagues thought Marcus was calculating. Translation, no longer a doormat. Marcus felt guilty for 3 days. That's childhood programming, not truth. But the rewards? The CEO personally mentored Marcus. His ideas were never stolen again. His salary doubled in 8 months. He slept without revenge fantasies. Other victims of Tom approached him as allies. He became unfuckwithable. That's not even a word, but you know exactly what it means. Victor revealed the philosopher's stone. The goal isn't to crush egos. It's to become someone whose ego can't be crushed. Nietzsche called it amor fati. Love your fate, including your enemies, because they reveal your power. Marcus Aurelius wrote the best revenge is not to be like your enemy. But Sun Tzu knew better. Appear weak when you are strong, and strong when you are weak. Marcus combined all three. Love the lesson enemies teach you. Don't become them, but know their game better than they do. You don't need to crush egos when you make them crush themselves. 6 months later, Marcus was training the new hires. One came to him trembling. My manager keeps stealing my ideas. Marcus smiled. Time to pass on Victor's gift. Listen carefully because this is the complete ego destruction manual. Phase 1, reconnaissance. Document everything with timestamps. BCC yourself on all idea emails. Record meetings where legal. Build your evidence fortress. Phase 2, soft power display. Start using I statements. In my analysis, my recommendation. Reference your past wins subtly. Create verbal fingerprints on your ideas. Make your competence undeniable. Phase 3, strategic exposure. Ask clarifying questions that expose their ignorance. Volunteer to help explain your own stolen ideas. Forward helpful context emails to wider audiences. Be so helpful it becomes suspicious. Phase 4, elegant assassination. Let them hang themselves with their own rope. Never accuse, just clarify with evidence. Stay calm while they spiral. Document their self-destruction. Phase 5, the phoenix rise. Emerge as the obviously competent one. Never gloat, stay gracious. Build alliances with other victims. Become untouchable. But here's the secret Victor never told me until the end. The person whose ego you really need to master, it's yours. Because when you don't need validation, you become validation. When you don't need credit, credit finds you. When you don't need to win, you become unbeatable. The young hire looked confused. So I shouldn't fight back? Marcus laughed. No, you should fight back so elegantly that they thank you for it. I know you're watching this at 2 a.m., replaying that conversation where they made you look stupid. I know you have a note on your phone with all the things you wish you'd said. I know you've Googled how to deal with narcissists so many times the algorithm thinks you're writing a thesis. I know you swing between thinking you're too sensitive and wanting to burn everything down. Here's what I need you to understand. You're not crazy. You're gaslit. You're not weak. You're ethical in an unethical system. You're not behind. You've been playing with a handicap called integrity. But that handicap, it's about to become your superpower. Because when someone with conscience learns these tools, they don't become villains. They become vigilantes. If this is hitting different than every other video you've watched, if you finally feel like someone gets it, hit subscribe right now. Not because I need it, but because you need what's coming next. The question isn't whether you'll use this. You already know exactly who this video is about. You can see their face right now. You can feel that familiar rage-shame cocktail. The question is, will you stay their victim or become their reckoning? You don't need permission to protect yourself. You don't need approval to demand respect. You don't need anyone's validation to know your worth. But you do need to make a choice. Remember what Schopenhauer said. All truth passes through 3 stages. First, it is ridiculed. Second, it is violently opposed. Third, it is accepted as self-evident. Your truth about your worth is entering stage 3. Their opposition is about to become irrelevant. Stay soft in a hard world and keep getting crushed. Or develop teeth and make them think twice. Next week, I'm revealing the actual word-for-word scripts that make narcissists apologize, including the 11-word phrase that made my CEO fire Tom and promote me to his position. But more importantly, I'm going to show you how to recognize the moment before someone tries to steal your shine and stop them before they even start. It's a technique so powerful, Victor made me promise to only share it when I found people ready to hear it. Based on you still listening, you're ready. Drop a comment with just the word ready if you've already identified your Tom. Let's build an army of people who refuse to be victims anymore. Your revolution starts now, or it doesn't. But if you're still here, we both know you've already decided. Fortune favors the prepared mind. And revenge favors the patient one. You in exactly 72 hours if you start implementing what you just learned. The clock starts now.